Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, we welcome you to another episode of the NFL Matchup Madness.
Yes,
Crazy
sir.
week, like every week in the NFL. No more undefeated teams. Green Bay got a little bit of mojo back. Several other things to talk about, but we'll incorporate those into the wonderful thing that we do every week for y'all, which is bring you every matchup every week. And to start off this week, ladies and gentlemen, we will be joined by Mike Patton momentarily, who will be covering the Tennessee Titans game against the Green Bay Packers. One of the better, I think, Thursday night games. So, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, Mike, what's going on, man?
What's
Yeah.
going on? What's going on? Another cold day in Tennessee, man. You would think I'm up north.
Hey, another cold day everywhere. It's a cold day in North Carolina too, man. It's crazy.
Yeah.
The weather,
Yeah,
the
we had a
weather.
little snow over in Denver this morning.
Man, keep that stuff over there, man.
Yeah, you keep it on the west. Y'all banging that snow over there. You know what I'm saying? But Mike, man, I know a lot of teams had some tough weeks last week. But hey, man, the great news is it's a new week. It's a new day. Yes, it is.
That's right. That's right. That's right. And of course, the Tennessee Titans had a tough day at the office. So I would say Derrick Henry had a tough day at the office. He didn't even get. I don't think he even got 70 yards rushing. Yet they still found a way to win the game, which is kind of atypical. The week previous, they lost a game where he had two touchdowns for the first time in his career as a Titan. So
Crazy,
it's
right?
crazy how it's all been going. Crazy just in terms of how the Titans and the season have gone for them, which they're 6-3 when nobody thought they would even get to that level starting the season 0-2. Amazing.
I hear that, man. There's nothing wrong with that. I've been big on the Titans because, um, number one, you're my second favorite team for the next 3 years. So, which means I've actually been watching. And one of the things is, man, the Titans are a scrappy group. Vrabel's a tough, hard nosed coach. Got a scrappy group. Not necessarily the best individual talent, but when you put the talent together, it's meshing well, and that's all that matters.
Right, right. And the thing is also what he does is they have a mentality just about them. It doesn't matter who's playing, who's out there. They're going to get every bit of energy out of their team. And the biggest show of that was this past weekend with Jeffrey Simmons and Bud Dupree out. They still hold the Broncos to 10 points. They still get 5 or 6 sacks in that game, and three of them from a lineman nobody's probably ever heard of. Yeah, that's it.
Absolutely. Mike,
Mm-hmm.
question for you. Since we don't have Trey on this week,
Uh-huh.
we had a resurgence, so to speak, of the Green Bay Packers this past week against the Dallas Cowboys. Oh, do you think that was a product of the turnovers of the Cowboys and some poor play calling, which ran prevalent through multiple teams in the NFC East yesterday or this past weekend? Or do you think it was just that one good game and we're going to start to see that Packers team that we've been seeing for the majority of the season? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, the biggest thing was the running game, and Dallas was pretty poor at stopping the run game. I think this may be a one-off in terms of this past game with the Green Bay, um, because the Titans are definitely tougher against the run. I don't even think they give up 90 yards rushing a game. Now they do give up a lot in the passing game. That is true, but they don't give up a lot in the rushing game. And it'll be interesting just to see if the Packers kind of change their strategy and go more to throwing the football with Christian Watson being out there and having a career game, which I think he's going to have a career game, and in this game he's going to come back down to earth just a little bit more. But that's just my thinking.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's reasonable not to expect him to have another one of those crazy games where he's getting all those touchdowns and big chunk plays. But I think what I see from personal speaking, of course, I think he's getting a rapport with Brett. Aaron Rodgers, and I think it's good for him. It's good for Aaron Rodgers. It's good for the team. Not necessarily that he's gonna, like you said, have those type of weeks every week, but he seems like a guy that Aaron Rodgers is starting to trust to throw the ball to, and he definitely
Right.
needed somebody with that. So from that standpoint, I think that's a positive if you're a Packers fan.
Yeah,
Um,
definitely is.
yeah, Cedric, man, you kind of just been chilling, man.
I
What
know,
you think
man.
about all this?
I'm reminiscing from that loss, on Sunday. But I mean, I look at it the same way I looked at it last weekend. If Green Bay can score more than 17 points, they're gonna win the game. Unfortunately, Tennessee is good. But that's it. They're good. If you can score points on them, you're gonna beat them. So I think Green Bay, like you said, they kind of caught a little stride last weekend. We're gonna see they're probably gonna try to air it out a little bit more. You know what I'm saying? I don't think they'll come out necessarily with that rushing attack, but their rushing attack is deadly. Aaron Jones and
Dylan.
dang, yeah, AJ Dillard, man.
AJ Dillon.
Yeah, man, they got a pretty solid, rushing attack. So, Aaron Rodgers can catch his groove at any moment, and if he happened to catch his groove, then they're gonna come out soaring. But, like you said, Tennessee, I feel like Tennessee will put up a fight. They're definitely the best rushing team in the NFL. But when it comes to trying to keep up with the scoreboard, they're not necessarily up there.
One thing I want to bring to your attention though as well. Tennessee Titans, they are a team that gets pressure with their front four better than a lot of teams in the NFL.
I
So when
think they're
he's
the best
throwing the
at it.
football, when he's throwing the football, he's going to be throwing against seven people back there. And then plus, if Jeffrey Simmons plays, I don't think the Packers have anybody inside that can handle him. And
Fair
also you
enough.
got to throw in Danico Autry as well, which Danico Autry actually has more sacks than Jeffrey Simmons as the interior lineman this year. And they're playing beside each other.
Okay.
I dig that as well. Now, Mike, so we clearly know who you think is going to win. It's not even a question. But if you could take away one thing from each team that would be their key to success for this game, what would you say for each team?
All right. As far as the key to success, I would say the play action pass for the Tennessee Titans. You got to be
Okay.
able to have at least some success there, and more importantly than the play action pass, actually designing plays to get your receivers open. Todd Downing, design a play to get a receiver open. You don't have guys that can beat guys one on one. You just don't. Design a play to get a wide receiver open. Play action pass would be it. Um, and then as far as Green Bay, I would say a big key to this game: stop the run. Make Ryan Tannehill be a drop back quarterback. If that happens, Titans might be in a good bit of trouble because their receivers have the least separation of any receivers in the NFL.
Well, you definitely make a couple of really valid points there. Did you have any other thoughts that you wanted to drop on us in regards to this game?
I would look for 𝐏𝐀𝐑 to get more touches this game. I mean, he's had two games where he's had a 40-plus yard catch. He had a 40-plus yard catch and run against Kansas City, and then last game he caught a pass across the middle, broke a tackle, and ran, but that was 41 yards. So since you don't have a lot of playmakers on the outside of that team, on the wide receiver spot, tight end, use 𝐏𝐀𝐑, get him the ball in space, and let him work.
Fair enough. Makes a lot of sense, man. Makes a lot of sense. Mike, make sure you hopping on, and I know you're always active in the comments, but make sure you hop on, man. Let everybody know where they can find you. We appreciate you hopping on, joining us, and look forward to seeing you next week, man. And good luck in the game.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
No problem. No problem. All right, ladies and gentlemen, with that, we're going to move on to our next matchup. We're going to have another one of our fellas going solo today, but it's all good. He's going to be able to handle it with no problem. Chris, what's going on, man?
Oh man, it's another day in paradise. How you guys doing?
Can't complain, man. Can't complain. So, Chris, another, I won't say big matchup, but I'll say another interesting matchup. um,
Indeed.
with the Chicago Bears coming up.
So the Falcons open up this week as a 3-point favorite to beat the Bears, and I think it's going to be an interesting matchup. The teams are fairly similar in how their offenses are constructed and how their defenses play. So on paper, it's going to be a very interesting game and how it plays out. Both of them have the same strengths and weaknesses, and it's going to be who comes out who executes better.
Definitely feel that. Said, any questions, bro?
Yeah, man. Do you think Mariota's gonna throw with more accuracy this week?
Honestly, Mariota hasn't played bad all season. I know there's a lot of people that are calling for his job and see if they can get Desmond Ridder into the lineup. But I think right now, Marcus is the best chance to win games. They're only a game behind Tampa in the South, so what 8 games left. So there's still a lot of time to be able to build stack wins and get into the playoffs. So I think Marcus has to what's the word? He needs to be able to control the game better. Um, the offensive line is not giving him a whole lot of time to be able to stay in the pocket and find open targets, but he needs to be able to do what he did early this season, use those legs to buy time, and if he can't, just take off. We've been seeing that there's not a whole lot of people that can stop him once he takes off running.
I mean, you just look at the other side of the field. You see Justin Fields doing it. So,
Exactly.
what do you guys? What can you guys do to contain Justin Fields and keep him from scoring another 4 touchdowns?
Honestly, I don't know if there's a lot anyone can do once Fields gets rolling. I don't think there's a lot anyone can do. But you got to be able to play smart defense, contain defense. Don't let him get outside the pocket. Don't let him hurt you with those legs because he's going to take off and you're going to get 10, 15, 20 yards of pop every single time.
Yeah, man. We'll see. I don't think that he'll put up another 4 touchdowns and lose 2 weeks in a row.
No,
So we'll
I
see.
don't think so. I think it's going to be a fairly close game. If everybody plays discipline on both sides, I think it's going to be an interesting matchup. And I think I actually have Chicago pulling this one out.
Okay. So, Chris, what are your keys to success for both teams?
So for the Falcons, they're going to have to, like I said, contain Justin Fields, play smart defense, and minimize the mistakes. You still don't have 𝐥𝐻𝐻 in the backfield and in the secondary, so the secondary unit is going to have to be able to contain Chicago's receivers in a way that they haven't been able to do since Terrell's been out. On the flip side of that, Chicago, all they need to do is create pressure. If they can get to Marcus and rattle him, he's going to look like he did against last week, and that's not going to be a winning factor. There is no reason why the Panthers should have put up 25 points against Atlanta, but they did, and you got to create that consistent pressure. And Chicago has a defense that can do that.
Fair enough. Said, any other questions for Chris?
Nah, man, I'm good.
It's been a pleasure, gentlemen. And hopefully we can get this dub out of here. If not, I'll be back next week, stronger than ever.
Aren't you guys leading the division?
No, we're a game behind Tampa. Dropping the last 2, Tampa was able to sneak past us. But like I said, there's still 8 games left, so anything can happen, especially the way that Tampa's playing right now.
True.
All right, Chris. Well, man, definitely appreciate you hopping on, man. Good luck this week. I know you don't think y'all gonna pull it out, but hey, you know how that goes. You never know. You might slide in there and make it happen.
Right.
Any given Sunday, man. Any given Sunday.
Absolutely. Good luck on the game, man. Make sure you hop in the comments. Let everybody know where to find you. And we'll see you next week, man.
All right, man. Yeah, guys, take care.
Peace.
All right, so it looks like our Ravens reps having a little technical difficulty. So you know what, man? If he's not able to get on, it's all good. We'll just go ahead and handle this next game here. So we have the Baltimore Ravens versus the Carolina Panthers. So, said man, what are your thoughts on this matchup?
Well, I mean, at first glance, come out and say, "Oh yeah, Ravens are gonna win," but Baker Mayfield comes back this week, so
Ooh,
it depends on which Baker Mayfield we get. I mean, wasn't he Rookie of the Year? Didn't he lead Cleveland to their first playoffs? So, I mean, Carolina, they've won games with PJ Walker. Foreman's a beast. Hubbard's not too far behind, man. It'll be interesting to see the chemistry between the receivers and Baker. If that doesn't click, everything will probably fall apart. But I think this is going to be an interesting game. Carolina, their defense has been kind of there when they need them to be. So, not always, but like a good neighbor, their defense has been there. So I'm interested to watch this game. I can't even call it. I don't know.
for me, some different things. The Ravens are coming off a bye. I always like when a team is popping in off of a bye because it gives them a great opportunity to get themselves together.
Unless you're the Broncos.
Well, I mean, it should give you a great opportunity. I mean, if you don't use it properly, that's one thing, but the opportunity's there. You understand? Another thing is learning life without Rashard Bateman, right? We've got our rep here, so we're going to hop him in, and we're going to let him give us a little insight as the guy here. Let's get it. One more minute here. Make everything work.
I was gonna act like I was talking shit on the Ravens when he come in. I never liked those Ravens. Nah, Ravens got a squad, man. And that's the thing. Like, I think they kind of get overlooked. You got the Bills. Even Kansas City gets overlooked, but I think nobody's really paying attention to the Ravens over there just because, like, I don't know, man.
I want to.
Mr. Jenkins, how's it going today, sir?
I'm good. I want you to finish your assessment. I heard you said that.
What?
I heard cool talk about Rashad. I want to get.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I think learning, adjusting to life without Rashard Bateman. I'm not saying that he was a great receiver, right? But he's a quality starting receiver. So it's just a lot of things when you don't have a guy there that your anticipation was to have. Devin Duvernay needs to step up a little bit. Speed for days. I've watched several Ravens games. Speed for days. I love the way he plays. Have him in fantasy in a couple of leagues. He's helped me some weeks, and he's got me some weeks. But that's the nature of wide receivers. I think Andrews should be back, right, Mr. Jenkins?
Yes.
Yeah. So that makes everything better. I'm just gonna be real. That makes everything better. I know you've got another young guy who plays well and should get some snaps at tight end, or maybe some two tight end sets now, right? But Mark Andrews is the guy that makes this offense go. He has been for the last several years, along with Lamar Jackson and whoever y'all decide to try out at running back that week that has two healthy legs. Seems to do really well behind the line. So a lot of things go well for Baltimore. I think maybe consistency. How well are you going to be able to use a fast but kind of broken down Deshaun Jackson? Are you going to be able to put him in situations where he can use what's left of his speed, but not play him too much, because durability is an issue with this gentleman if you have him out there too much? So just incorporate the different pieces that you'll need to move around and try to make up for what you're going to lose with Bateman being out. So, it's one of those things where you've got a quarterback that's a former MVP, dual threat for sure for days. So it shouldn't be a problem, but I just like to see the things actually play out.
I have a couple here. Number one, now the greatest thing to happen to the offense, because he's so fixated.
We can't hear you, sir.
Can you hear me now?
Now we can hear you. I think you're too far away.
So, a couple disagreements with your assessment for the most part. Rashad Bateman goes with
Can't hear you again.
Okay, how about now? I'm gonna just do it this way. How about? Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you now.
Okay, so Mark Andrews is not the focal point of this offense. He is the focal point of the passing game. The running game is the focal point of this offense because when the run game gets going, the passing game is 10 times better. And with Mark Andrews out, I was so happy he was out because it forced Lamar to use people like James Prochet, Devin Duvernay, Isaiah Likely, Josh Oliver. You use the people around him. And so with him actually coming back, I don't want Lamar to get back fixating on him because I think that stunts him in his growth. As far as Bateman was that guy, but this team has known how to show how to win without him. And I agree with the Cedric Green. I don't care that people don't talk about us or nothing like that because the Ravens have, if you pay attention, the Ravens have started figuring it out. The team has an identity now. They know who they are. They know what they're doing. And number one biggest deal, that defense is getting better by the week. With Roquan on that defense, it makes it so much better. But I just want to shout out to say, I said the Saints had no chance last week, and I said we would win by 10+ points, right? I said they had no chance. I didn't think they was going to win. I won my fantasy because I took unders on Kamara and them, and I was right. I think this is more the same with the Panthers. Again, they're a bad team. Our off defense is getting better. Tyus Bowser came back into the linebacker fold, which makes that much better on the pass rush side. Then you get Mark Andrews coming back. Then you get Gus Edwards coming back. And then J.K. Dobbins is coming back. And then Marcus Williams is coming back in about a good couple of weeks. So the Ravens are starting to really get what they need to make a playoff push, which is why they've been so judicious with what they need to be doing. Ronnie Stanley looks like the best left tackle in football, and we took his recovery time in spurts. But
So let me ask you a question.
Mm-hmm.
Let me ask you a question. So maybe my wording kind of threw you off. Mark Andrews is the cog that makes your offense go. And I'm going to tell you why, whether you disagree or not. I'm going to tell you why he is.
I disagree, but I'll go ahead.
Whether you disagree or not, I'm going to tell you why he is. Because if you take Mark Andrews off of that offense, what does the defense focus on for you? They're not worried about covering 2 or 3 guys down the field. They're worried about stacking the box, stopping Lamar Jackson, and whoever's playing running back from running. When Mark Andrews is in the game, you have to dedicate focus to him. You have to game plan for the fact that down those seams, he's the guy you got to stop. So you have to dedicate defenders.
Tampa Bay and New Orleans, without Mark Andrews, we beat both of them. And when Mark Andrews went out against Tampa Bay, we started using everybody in the offense played better why? Lamar focuses on Mark Andrews. So
but
Mark Andrews,
that was a small. No. I'm about to finish. That's a small sample size
I will tell you,
for a season. For a season, you take Mark Andrews off that team. You allow teams to then see what you do without Mark Andrews. You're not running the ball like you are now.
Actually,
in a small sample size. But see, here's the thing that I need you to see as a fan of the Ravens. You may not appreciate Mark Andrews, but if you take him off this team,
I do appreciate it. I just refuse.
You clearly don't, by the way you're saying.
I do. I just don't.
If you take Mark Andrews off of this team for a long period of time, this offense is not going to be the same. Because I watch the games just like you do.
I'm about to say that
they're on TV every week.
The offense actually plays better since he's been out.
And again, small sample sizes. Small sample sizes.
I actually say this all the time to back it up. When Mark Andrews in the game, defense is key on him because Lamar throws it to him 14, 15 times. And stop that route and stop him, you can stop this offense. But as soon as he goes out, and the reason why the run game is the main focal point, because even last year in Mark Andrews' all-pro year, the first 11 games with Lamar, a quarterback, Mark Andrews was the leading target guy for those games. He wasn't the focal point. The focal point, we already know who Mark Andrews is. The big problem with the Ravens, the focal point is getting that big play and getting those guys out there. With Mark Andrews out, the small sample size or not, we have to deal with where we are right now. We ain't dealing with what it was before. We talking about where we
We're
are
looking for
right
a whole
now.
season. We got to look at the whole season. You can't pull out two,
But we're
three
talking
games.
about
You got to look
we're,
at your whole season.
we
You have
are,
to
but
look at your whole
we are,
season.
but
But
we
you
actually
talking about two,
hold on.
three
Let me
games
finish.
without
No,
it. Look at the whole
well,
season.
hold on. We are looking at the whole season, and to the whole point, when he has been out, the Ravens actually have had a higher offense. I checked the stats. The Ravens' offense got better when he was out these last 2 weeks. And at the end of the day, we're trending upward with him coming back. That's why the main concern is when he comes back, they don't want Lamar to just continue to get back fixated on him.
But
They
shouldn't
want
that?
him to use the Isaiah Likeleys. They want him
He
to use the
should.
James, the Denard Robinsons,
He should.
the Devevin.
He should.
But that's my point. When
But
Mark Andrews in the
when he needs to play, when he's in 3rd down and 7, and he needs to play, there's only one guy more than likely he's going to throw that ball to, and that guy normally catches the ball.
And actually, this season, that guy's kind of dropped a few balls, and that's the reason why our
Oh,
offense went through.
every tight end has
Hold
dropped
on.
balls this season.
Finish. I have no problem. I love Mark Andrews. I think he's great. But your assessment of how much he impacts this team and what he is off of this, I just don't think it's the same, in my opinion. I think he is a very important piece of this offense. I think he's a very important piece of what Lamar wants to do when he wants to go big and go home. But when Lamar is at his best, Mark Andrews is not the only person that he sees. Mark Andrews is not the only person. And last year and this year, as a big deal for Mark Andrews that helped him. If you look at his best games, Rashad Bateman and a big play wide receiver had got off. Last year in his best games, Hollywood Brown had got off.
All right, so let me use let me explain what focal point means to you, because I think to you, your definition of focal point means that he's the only person that he's seeing. So let me explain what focal point means to you. I'm gonna use the Philadelphia Eagles as an example. I'm going to use the Philadelphia Eagles as an example. AJ Brown is the focal point of the Philadelphia Eagles offense. If you take him away from the game, the team is not as good. Devontae Smith has had awesome games, and AJ Brown has had not as good games, and we still won. Dallas Goedert has had amazing games. AJ Brown has not had good games, but we still won. Why? Because there's this thing called I have to know as a defense every play where AJ Brown is. I.e., I have to know every play that he's on the field where Mark Andrews is. I have to pay special attention to this player. Now, if Lamar Jackson needs to develop to the point where he needs to say, even though he's out here, hold on. If Lamar Jackson needs to say, I need to develop to the point where even if Mark Andrews is here, I need to look at everybody else. That's a development thing for Lamar Jackson. That's not Mark Andrews' fault. That's a development thing for your quarterback. But if you take the best receiver that's currently on your team and Mark Andrews off for a long period of time, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 weeks, it's going to deter how well your offense plays. Now,
how is it we have a small sample size with your offense, but my small sample size didn't matter? That's what I'm confused about. The small sample size.
My sample size is the season. My sample size is the season.
For this season, you're 6 games in.
For this season, we are actually, if you look at the records, we're more than 6 or 7 games in.
You're 8.
You might want to look at the records. We're 9 games in now. So what I'm saying is 9 games. The totality of the current season, not last season, not 3 games that we're going to pull out this season, but the entirety of this season. That's what I'm saying.
But we have you do lately. But again, now, I'm gonna challenge your point on this one, because are we talking about what have we done lately? Because that's what we go by. And when you took him out with the smaller sample size, whether you agree with it or not, the offense had to get better, and they committed to more of the run game. When Mark Andrews is in the game, and yes, he is the primary wide receiver, the primary receiving threat. Offense is not predicated on running through him as the focal point, because it's not. It's all determined on how we impact with the run game. When we do focus strictly on him and running the offense as the focal point, much as defense is focused on him, when we just don't run the football, we struggle.
He doesn't have to get to the ball. He doesn't have to get the. So listen, Mr. Jenkins. He doesn't have to have a target to still be the focal point. The defense of the other team, no matter who they are, if he is playing, they're going to focus on him. They're going to always make sure they know where he's at. That's what allows your quarterback to have the ability to go to other players. Now, if he's not in the game, obviously you have to spread the ball around. But when you have him there,
I disagree.
Okay, go
I
watch
disagree
from game
because
one
we agreed to
to this
disagree
last week.
because again, how
We
is it
don't
we're
agree
going
to
to talk
disagree.
about when and that's exactly because you realize every time we talk about the Ravens, every time we talk about assessing the Ravens, and I've seen on any platform, the number one thing is stop the run. Because if you make Lamar have to throw, we know it's going to be a problem. As I said with you, Mark Andrews is the focal number one defensive threat on the passing game. But their number one objective is to make Lamar strictly a
Okay,
throwing
so
quarterback, which is
so
stopping the
answer this question
run.
then. So answer this question then. Answer this question then. Who's the number one threat that you need to take away besides Mark Andrews? Name one player to take away besides Mark Andrews.
When he's playing, Gus Edwards is the number one threat. Because again, if you look at the games
Okay,
that he's
so
played,
if that's how you feel, that's how
if
you feel.
you look at the games to play, that's what I'm saying. I have no problem, but I'm sorry. Yes, we're talking about 3 or something games, but I can't control that. Just like you can't control how if Lamar decides that he only throws to Mark Andrews or decides not to. We're only dealing with what we have right now, and what we have seen is when they were in the beginning of the year, when they were fixed, with Mark Andrews on there, we were up and down 3-3. The best thing that happened to the Ravens was to have Mark Andrews out because it got them going back to their identity of what they need to do, which is nobody's arguing against
Shots fired.
myself today, actually.
He really
Shots
did just say
fired.
Gus Edwards. When he said Gus Edwards, I'm done. I'm done. If
Hey,
that's what
that's
you
your
want to say,
opinion.
I'm
That's your
done.
opinion. I stand
But
on
back to the
mine. I stand
Panthers.
on my
So what you think?
convictions. It don't mean
So
it
what are the
don't mean
Ravens
I'm
going to
wrong.
do against the Panthers this week, JJ?
Exactly. It don't mean I'm wrong. I stand on my conviction just as much as you do. We double down on what we believe it was correct. Correct? Do we not?
We double
And
down
I
was
ain't arguing.
correct.
I said I ain't arguing against myself. I've made my points, and I said I accepted your point. So yes, with the Ravens need to win, just play their game. And no, the season ain't in 2 weeks. But again, how y'all gonna say, hey, what we do for me right now? Exactly. Since you want to come at me, don't act like you ain't been in this league, in this
He
society.
do got it with Gus, bro. When he said Gus Edwards, I'm done. You got it.
That's fine. When I want my apologies, and I'm right when things get back, and we come back in a couple of weeks, and we see that when the run game gets going, as the guy with Gus Edwards, and things get off. So I'll be waiting for my apologies from everybody on this. Real talk. I'll be waiting for my apologies on this. As far as the Ravens, it's pretty simple. The Carolina Panthers are not that good. They're going to get beat by at least 2 scores, maybe 3. I got this game at by 37-20 or 37-10.
Dang.
You got it, man. You got it. So we'll see what happens next week. And good luck with your matchup. Make sure you hop by the comments and let everybody know where they can find you. And do you have any last words, sir?
Yes, I will go right to those people to have them apologize to me when they find out that I was right about what I was saying, and I'll put that in the comment of where they can reach on these social media platforms.
Are you going to be crow eating once what we're saying is correct? That's what I want to know.
Hold on, see, just as you're very confident what you speak, right? We're on the same level, so if I can talk it, I can say I'm wrong. I just hope y'all have the same case.
That's all I'm. That's all
I
I'm
never
asking,
said anything.
You're professing. You're professing that Gus Edwards is the most important player. So once we show that he's not, just make sure you acknowledge that.
And foremost, your question was outside of Mark Andrews, who's the next.
No. We can rewind that. I said, who is the most important player of your offense? And you said Gus Edwards.
This quarterback, yeah, that's fine with me. You can take it to the bank. Problem is,
all right.
You know.
It's on video. Everyone can see it. You have a great day, sir.
Yes, sir.
Hot takes.
All right, now.
And we'll see you back next week.
Peace. What's the next game, man?
So Gus Edwards is the most important player if you take away Mark Andrews on the Ravens. Y'all heard it here first. Breaking news. But hey, everyone is entitled to their opinion. That's what makes this wonderful. So the next game we'll be talking about here is going to be the Browns versus the Bills. We don't have either of those reps on. which is not a problem because me and the Cedric, we can handle this. So, said, I'll talk from which team you want to take. I'll talk from one. You talk from one.
I'll take the Bills.
All right, that means I'll take the Browns. So, talk to us about the Bills. What they're gonna do?
Oh man, I think they're gonna come out mad, especially after the way that game ended last weekend. That was a series of unfortunate events, and well, I guess it wasn't just the end; it was the entire game. But I think they're gonna come out. Josh Allen, he showed that he's back. Close to 100% as possible this time in the season. The injury didn't slow him down. And man, Singletary, bro. The Bills, they can hit you from any direction at any moment. So, I think the Browns are doing decent for sure for what they're working with. And Deshaun Watson, I think he just started practicing, but I think, like I said, the Bills are just going to come out hot, man. They're trying to get that momentum back. They're trying to catch Miami, trying to, keep up in the AFC, and they really need this win. So I think they're going to come out focused, and it's going to be a tight one, but I think they're going to pull away. I think it'll be by like 10 points.
If I'm Cleveland, I'm concerned about the skate. Like you said, man, Buffalo's coming off of a tough loss. There's nothing worse than being a team to play a team off of a tough loss, right? So, yeah, if you're Cleveland, you're hoping that you can get that three-headed monster running back going, get all those dudes to give you about 200 yards together, kind of go back to that ground and pound that was successful for a good part of them last year. Brissett has been serviceable. He's actually been a little bit better than serviceable for him this year. He's been better than I thought he would be. Didn't have very high expectations, but he has passed them. And he's at least kept them in games. He's at least made them, respectable during this time frame where they're looking for Watson.
I say he earned a contract somewhere next year.
The thing with Brissett, though, is, and I'll say this is still spot duty. Like, it's consistent, but it's spot duty. You always knew he was the number 2 guy.
Yeah.
So I think that's the great place for him. Now, maybe somewhere like the Panthers, if they don't have a quarterback next year, depending on if Denver wants to continue to
we have to. We're signed to
deal
Russ
with
for
this
the next 5 years.
this Russ thing, or maybe you see if you can move him or something. I don't know. But if the job were to come available, let's say, he may be somebody you would look at. A couple other places, maybe Atlanta,
Tampa
some
Bay.
different places, maybe Tampa Bay may look in and say, okay, he's a guy that maybe we can, do for a year or two as a stopgap while we work on getting our next guy in or something like that. So injuries also may play a role down the road, so we'll see. But definitely a guy, I think I would agree with you in saying that he definitely has earned an opportunity somewhere to be featured if necessary. So, happy for him for that, because he's never been the guy that really got a full chance. When in Indianapolis, he didn't get a real chance. New England, different places he's been, he hasn't really ever had the chance to be the guy. Even when he was the guy in Indianapolis, it was already talk of who's going to be next. So, happy that he's just at least hanging in there and performing to at least a middle of the pack effort for that team. But, yeah. Buffalo's going to come out this weekend. I think they're going to really stomp them. Not confident on the score, but I think it's going to be clear this entire game that Buffalo is in control and that they're the ones who are making things happen.
Yep.
Yeah, so checking here to see if our next guys are available. Doesn't look like it, so we'll go ahead and move on to the next matchup, and we'll go ahead and talk about that one as well. Keep things moving right along here. So our next matchup is going to be the Detroit Lions versus the New York Giants. Detroit has played everyone hard, but they just haven't been able to win.
They just won. Didn't they beat the Bears?
Well, they beat the Bears, but I mean, season wide, kind of long, kind of back to what we were saying earlier about the season sample size. But yeah, they did get a win, and I'm happy for Detroit for that, because those guys work hard, And we talk a lot about, this team's not good, this team's not this team's not that. But Sorry here, but they're just a team that just they plod along. They'll win some because they're good enough to win some, but they'll lose some as well. They've lost more than they won, but hey, you're only as good as what your record is, so you got to improve it. So I think Detroit has a chance to make this game close. They played a lot of teams tight, but I just don't see them beating this Giants team. Maybe you do, but I just don't quite see them. But I think that the game stays a little bit tighter than most people would expect.
Yeah, man. I feel like the Giants are gonna come out super focused on this one. They were watching the game last week. I would hope so. And this is kind of like a litmus test for them, like if they're gonna be a playoff team, they're gonna see teams much better than this Lions team in the playoffs. But this Lion team does play hard, and I guarantee it's gonna feel like a playoff game. Um, but yeah, I just see the Giants pulling it off. I mean, they've just been kind of rolling with their scheme all year, man, and it's been working for them. And that's just it. If they stick to their plan, they're gonna pull off a win. Danny Dimes tries to pull his best Tom Brady. That might keep the Lions in the game, but um, I got the Giants winning this one.
Yeah, it's what should be a good matchup. I think, even though I mean, if we really look at Detroit, they've had a lot of good matchups. They may not have won, but they've had a lot of solid matchups. They've played some
Hmm.
teams really well. They've got, like you said, they did get the win this week, but a lot of close games, a lot of games that could have went either way. But I think the Giants keep things going this week. Like you said, litmus test. This is a game that a lot of your other divisional guys have won. So it's time for you to step up and do the same thing.
Especially in that
So
division, man. Every win counts. Every NFC win counts. We saw what happened to the Bills. They lost, and then you got everybody else in the NFC looking good too. Minnesota reeling off eight in a row. The
hmm
Eagles, 8-1. So
hmm
it's not like they can afford any losses at this time in the season. So I really hope they come out focused and do what they need to do just to keep things interesting.
absolutely. And we'll go ahead and move over to our next matchup. Um, that's going to be the Commanders versus the Texans.
Woo!
Yes,
Man,
sir.
Commander's riding
Couch
hot
Coach,
right
what's
now.
going on, man? Hey, I got to give you props
What's
before we
going
even
on, man?
start. Y'all did y'all thing Monday night. I'm not one of the people that's gonna run around. Oh, the ref this, the ref that. We turned the ball over 3 times. We had a stupid series of play calls before the half, and we had a guy catch the ball in a time where you're trying to bleed the clock and get up and try to run. None of those things were your fault. None of those things were the referee's fault. So, in my opinion, we went out there and we got beat. It was a divisional game. I didn't think you would be the team to beat us, but I knew somebody would. So, I'm not crying. I'm not complaining. I'm not about to go jump off a bridge. I just feel bad for the Colts.
Uh,
Yeah.
who's gonna be the quarterback?
Yeah. I think it's gonna stay with Taylor Heineke. I think last night kind of showed and he earned that opportunity. I know we talked last week that it was in the balance, but I think we have a situation like that where even though he did throw like a gimme interception, but he managed the game effectively. He did what he had to do. He had a heads up play, obviously, in that fourth quarter with the kneel down, and then also with that hit. So it's kind of one of the things where I think he's earned that right to become the starter, and at least go to Houston and become the starter of this team. So I definitely think he's the starter.
I said it should be all along. So, Couch Coach, what are y'all going to be looking forward to do this week to keep this winning streak going?
Yeah, you talk about the streaks as well. We haven't beat the Texans in like 16 years. I think we haven't beat them since like 2007, 2006.
Dang.
It's been a while since we beat them. So, yeah, I definitely think I think we finally learned what this team could do. And it's one thing we've always said with this Washington Commanders team. Hey, run the football, don't deviate from it. But luckily, Scott Turner, he showed the world on Monday Night Football that, hey, yes, you do need to run the ball, control the clock, because of how we are from the quarterback position, where we don't have AKA a gunslinger quarterback like like the prototypical like a Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen. We don't have that type where we can go in these type of fights like case in point like with the Eagles. We had to slow them down. That's the only one of the reasons why we were able to kind of slow down that high octane offense for us having the football for 40 minutes during that game. So, and then also just taking care of turnovers and win those turnover battles, because this is probably one of the first games this year where we actually won a turnover battle. Normally, it's the other way around where maybe we commit two turnovers and then they have none. So well, I know we will get a heavy dose of Damian Pierce, so hopefully we can sustain that. And then, from what I've heard now, Chase Young will be back. Yo, for sure. Oh yeah, I was shocked. I was shocked my head was gonna fit through the screen today. Honestly,
There's another jewel for you there.
for sure, for sure. But yeah, I think Chase. Yeah. Hey man.
Thought you'd like that one as well too,
For
man.
sure. Yeah, and when you and then also bringing in a guy like a Chase Young, bringing back into the mix, he's another one where he gives that energy, he gives that intangible that's more than just X's and O's. So I think having him, and then because I know we're going to get a very heavy dose of Damian Pierce. So what can we do to combat that? Obviously, we got a great defensive front. So I definitely think we take care of that. And it's like one of the things where this is still the Texans, they still fight hard. I even used them as a case study last week when we talked about them last week when you guys played them on Thursday night. Where those games, I think even last week when they lost to the Giants, case in point where they had an opportunity to kind of, they made it a little bit competitive in that fourth quarter, but this team fights hard. Like the Texans aren't a slouch. Like, don't look at their record as that, but they fight. I know you guys talked earlier about like Detroit. They're almost eerily similar to Detroit, where hey, it's no gimmies, and this could be a great opportunity, like you said, to ride that wave if you want to continue to have this run, because at that point you'll be 6-5, you'll be right in the mix where you kind of want to be right around Thanksgiving week. So I think that's the best thing to be. You're one game above 500, probably gonna be teetering at maybe 8th, 9th, 7th spot when it's all said and done with before the week is over. Week 11 is over, so that's all you can really ask for at this point. And all the turmoil and stuff that's happened all season, and for us to be at this point, and considering the fact everybody else is just doing their thing in the NFC East, it could be a lot worse.
Man, in a way I am happy that y'all won because it's pulling up everybody, right? We're all getting to that point where we're in a position to make moves for the playoffs. I still would like to be the first division in history to have all 4 teams.
Nope, not happening.
Make the
It's
playoffs.
a possibility.
Can't. The NFC's too good for that to happen.
The NFC's too good for that?
The way things are going.
Explain that to
It's
me,
possible.
Ian. I mean, say it. I would like you to explain that to me. How is the NFC too good?
All right. 4 teams. There's 7 teams in the playoffs, so you gotta have 4 division winners, right? So that's 4 teams already.
One
right,
of which will be
so-
from the NFC East.
So you're saying the NFC East has the next 3 best teams out of everybody else in the NFC?
Well, we definitely have the next 2 best teams.
You
out of
still got
everybody in the
Arizona. You still got the NFC West. There's at least going to be 2 teams from there that you're going to
I
have to
disagree
fight
with
with.
that. I definitely disagree with that. There's gonna be one.
Because a part of me kind of rooting for Seattle to kind of stay where they're at, because we play San Francisco on Christmas Eve, and that could be the difference.
Yep.
So I'm like, I look at that, and it's like, if we go to Santa Clara and win on Christmas Eve, I wouldn't necessarily say cancel Christmas, but it's going to look pretty good if Washington goes into San Francisco and wins.
Let's
So
talk
we
in
may
8
have-
weeks. Let's talk in 8 weeks. I'll give you my predictions then.
Let's be over.
In 8 weeks, they're not predictions, right? It's like saying, let's wait till the day after the Super Bowl. I'm gonna pick the Super Bowl winner. What do you mean?
I'm just saying, you guys. I feel like San Francisco's about to heat up. So, like you said, if Seattle keeps on if they keep on their tip, and keep pushing for that too, they're gonna be up there as well.
But
you are gonna.
But I'll give you San Francisco would be a hurdle for. San Francisco or Seattle may be a hurdle for the Commanders, but outside of that last one, who's better than Dallas and the Giants?
Yeah,
who's better than Dallas and the Giants?
That's not a division
Green Bay? Didn't Dallas just lose to Green Bay?
We just lost to the Commanders. The Commanders aren't better than us, but they beat us.
Hey, if Green Bay gets some more wins, that's a tiebreaker right there.
That's true.
But Green Bay, but you realize they do still have to play us. Green Bay still has to play us, and they still have a reasonably difficult schedule.
Yeah, but Washington just showed how to beat Philly. Run it down their throat.
Washington showed how to beat us when we have 3 turnovers. The first time all season we lost the turnover battle the very first time. That's not going to happen every week. Yeah.
Slow the game down. Can't move so fast.
Let's stop and let's break down something real quick. Let's take a breakdown moment here. I know we got people waiting and we got the matches. Let's take a breakdown.
I know you guys stand up for the Eagles and everything.
No. I'm not standing up for the Eagles.
Y'all got that
this
loss.
Is basic,
you got to get it out.
This is basic football. If you play a team that doesn't turn the ball over, and they turn the ball over 3 times that game, they're going to lose. But if you can't force that team to turn the ball over that much, how are you going to beat them? And also keep in mind, Washington really won by 1 score. The last score was us trying to just do something at the end of the game, and they just picked up the ball and ran in the end zone.
Bro, the Broncos.
So that game was still.
The Broncos have held every team under 18 points this season, and we're 2-6.
I'm not talking about how many. But I'm not talking about how many points were scored. I'm talking about the turnover battle. Turnover battle is critical for any team. Unless Washington can go give everybody the footage to say, hey, you grab Goddard's helmet and sling it this way so that and then you rip the ball out. You know what I'm saying? Unless they have that film, unless you can show them how to go and rip the ball out of A.J. Brown's hands when he's coming down with a catch to cause a turnover. And these are great plays, don't get me wrong. Because if it's not called, it didn't happen. So don't get me wrong. I'm not whining about them, but I'm saying these are not things that you can go and give to someone else and say, hey, this is how you beat them. Because, again, if we go back to what I said earlier, all we need is for young boy to stay on the ground when he catches the ball and not get up and try to run. If he stays on the ball and does clock management, we're talking about a whole different thing. We're talking about how the Eagles had another horrible game and they still find a way to win.
But we're not.
I'm saying, so these are not things that can be created, is what I'm saying to you. So we're not saying a team would have to dominate us and beat us by 20 points, right? They won the game. I'm not complaining. I'm not trying to take anything away from that. But they did not do something that you can go out and duplicate.
Ooh, is the Colts guy here? Ooh.
Because even with managing the clock and managing the time of possession, it's really a 1-score game. That's all I'm saying. So does that really work? We're going to find out if the Colts try it next week.
Man,
I wish we played the Broncos.
We
play the Broncos.
Y'all want to get an NFL Coach of the Year in just Saturday.
Right?
Listen,
you gotta. This is his first time ever being a head coach. They won their Super Bowl last week. They're about to run it down y'all's throat.
They can try to run it down our throat. They could try. But go back and look. They did a lot. And again, I'm not taking anything away from them. But these are not things that anybody's going to be able to come out and do on a weekly basis. So if you're thinking that what they did presents some narrative where everybody now has this blueprint to beat the Eagles,
I mean, Houston kind of laid it out, and then Washington just kind of built upon it.
Well,
they
if you
just
want to
stuck
say
to the
run
plan.
game, if you want to say the run game, you can go back several weeks. You can go back to week 1, and Detroit did a masterful job of running the ball on us. So
when the Broncos see y'all in the Super Bowl, bro, then we can talk about it. At the end of the season, we're in the Super Bowl. We're going to get y'all. We can talk about it.
So if I wish I had my videos queued up, because right now all I can think about is my man talking about playoffs.
Jim Moore.
Yeah. That's what they talk about over in Denver. But back to our regularly scheduled program. Couch Coach,
Yeah.
what can y'all do to ensure that you win this game, and what can happen to stop you guys from winning this game?
I definitely think the key is going to definitely be running. I think obviously the run game is definitely going to be influential. Taylor, I think what he can do, don't be a hero. I think essentially he make the throws when need be. Don't do stupid stuff like throwing double coverage like you've done in the past. I think if we were to lose this football game, as most of the regions, obviously, if Taylor Heineke throws interceptions left and right, we don't really convert on third downs. If we don't essentially get down and have scoring drives and really essentially mushing up 3 points, I think this is another opportunity where, hey, if you're in the red zone, let's just punch it in and let's score. I think that's another thing too, where this is the type of team where if you're having these clock killing drives and you're only getting 3 points out of it, it's almost pointless in some cases. And I think this could be a situation where that could be, you can see that rearing its ugly head. But I definitely think we're going to win our first game in Houston since 2006. 2006, that was 16 years ago. So we got kids that are in high school that have never seen the Commanders win against the Houston Texans in Houston. So,
and they own the drive cars.
I know, right? That's scary.
But hey, Couch Coach, man, definitely appreciate you hopping on.
Sure.
Congratulations on the win last week, man. Somebody had to take us down. Y'all did it. Hey, it is what it is. Like I said, I'd hate to be a Colts fan, but hey.
Couch Coach, take this moment in.
Yes, sir.
Take this moment in. Take it in.
We'll see him in the division round. We'll see him in the division round.
Ooh,
Mike,
big words.
He did say Arizona, Mike. He did.
Who, me?
Right.
Yeah. Oh, I'm just saying the NFC West, man. They sneaky, bro. They come up last. We'll see.
He also asked, "Do y'all want some Adebo, Couch Coach?"
Oh, we'll get them on Christmas Eve. Oh yeah, we ready for it. We got milk and cookies ready for them, just like Santa. We got them. We got them.
The 49ers way says Seattle has 3 or 4 losses left on their schedule.
Yeah,
look like he hoped they got 3 or 4 losses left in their schedule.
Shout out to my guy. Yeah.
Hey, Mike agrees. You know what I'm saying?
Sure. Yeah, right. Yo.
We talking about Super Bowls. No, we talking about playoffs with the Denver Broncos. Sir.
Playoffs. Yo.
Ooh.
Oh, look at this one. Heineke doesn't throw interceptions. He throws Heineken's.
Hey. Some good and some bad.
Oh. The 49ers was calling out the L's for you. 49ers, Chiefs, once to the Rams, maybe the Jets. Those are all losable games.
They are.
Fair points to make.
Yeah,
They're valid.
Yeah, for sure.
All games are losable games.
That is also valid, sir. That is also valid.
Any given Sunday.
All right, so
for sure.
Couch Coach, make sure you hop in the comments, sir, and let everybody know where they can find you. We appreciate you, man. Have you back next week,
sir.
And good luck on your
sir.
game Sunday.
Appreciate it.
All right. Yes, sir. All right, guys, we're going to roll over to our Philadelphia Eagles representative. Fuji, what's going on, man? Can you hear us? I think you might be You muted.
Oh.
There we go.
Oh, fellas, sorry for the delay. I was running a little late logging on. But a tough loss. Man. I say this, Washington just came into our house and punched us right in the jaw.
Yes,
and, hate to say it, but I think, that Houston game, they drove right down on us, and Washington did the same. And, I just wondering, as I was listening in the background, maybe Washington did lay the blueprint on how to beat the Eagles. Just keep that offense off the field. Now, that run defense, I was talking to you about that last week, Cole, about,
Yeah.
hey, no Jordan Davis.
Yeah.
I mean, no pass rush last night.
2 more weeks.
I mean, you got, Jonathan Taylor this week. You got Saquon Barkley twice. You got Derrick Henry coming up in a few weeks. Aaron Jones. Like, they better tighten this defense up and fast.
Well, I can say as an Eagles fan as well, Jonathan Gannon is definitely a problem. Obviously, nothing's going to happen with that. But Jonathan Gannon is definitely a problem. Too many soft, crappy zones. Again, we saw it a lot last night. But, hey, I mean, sometimes talent just has to overcome buffoonery at coaching, and that's what I feel like is going to need to happen for our defense. But, yeah, you got to tighten up the run defense. Davis should be back in a couple of weeks. But while he's gone, man, we can't just sit there and let everybody run over us and treat us like little kids. So some guys got to step up and have some pride.
Well, yeah, I mean, hey, you better ride the ship right because, everybody thought this was going to be a cakewalk for the division, and you're playing in the best division in football right now.
How is that ever going to be a cakewalk, right?
Right. I mean, you figure they were going to lose somewhere along the line, and
exactly.
If I were Howie Roseman, I'd be on the phone to Dominic Sue right now, plugging him, seeing what he's about. He's out there. It wouldn't hurt to bring him in.
It wouldn't cost anything but a little bit of cash. I would definitely be making that same call. I would have made it before this past game, but hey,
Oh, yeah, you're right. Especially when Jordan Davis went down.
Yep.
Every little bit helps.
Exactly.
Shame it ain't the trade deadline. Still, you could have went out and maybe you should have went out and got a defensive tackle instead of bringing in Robert Quinn.
Or maybe you should have got both.
I mean, that's true too. Odell Beckham right now after last night, Odell Beckham wouldn't be a bad piece to add as a decoy because you don't know what the heck's going on with A.J. Brown and Dallas Goedert. He's going to be out for multiple weeks. Who knows?
Yeah, Tyree Jackson should be back, though, because he has to be activated this week. So as long as he doesn't blow anything else out when he gets back, he's very impressive when he plays, but got to play.
No, he's stud as long as he can stay healthy.
Exactly.
So
Fuji, on to this week, man. We got this Indianapolis Colts team. Our Colts rep wasn't able to hop on us tonight. What do you think we need to do to right the ship against Indianapolis?
Hey, you're gonna have to shut down Jonathan Taylor. I mean, guy was hobbling along all season. Now, 160 some yards against the Raiders. You're just gonna have to come out and play your game. I mean, like I say, you're gonna have to tighten up that defense. The runs shut him down, and just get back to the basics. Sirianni's going to have to get this team just riding right.
Yep.
Run the football and just, you're going to have to substitute for Dallas Goedert's loss. Hopefully A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith will be all right after getting a little nicked up last night. So get that running game going. I don't know why they got away from it last night, but.
Yeah, another questionable piece of last night that I was like, why would you just stop running the ball when that's been our bread and butter all year, right? This had a lot of shades of the 49ers game last year where it feels like Steichen turned into Nick Sirianni and just wanted to throw. We got to balance with the run. Every team knows if you got to run a game, you got to use it. We didn't do that enough last night. That was, piss poor play calling.
Big time. And Miles Sanders, he was in a nice rhythm.
Yeah, when he
gave the ball, just take it away.
Mm-hmm. Right. So
I was going to have to come.
Oh, go ahead.
Come out and execute. Just going to have to execute. Get Hurts back on his game and get the nice, great protection he's had all year.
Hurts was not an issue in this game. Right. He delivered the ball. He got sacked a few times, but he delivered the ball on all the fumbles and the interception. The interception was a throw where A.J. Brown wants the ball at. Somebody just took it away from him. The two fumbles, they were good. They were good throws. They were good catches. It's just things happen after the catch. So I mean, I feel like he did what he was supposed to do. One of the few people who did. But for the Colts, for me, I'd say for the Colts, it's just going to be for them. If I'm talking about the Colts, they're going to need to try to do the same thing that the Commanders did, that the Lions did, the Dallas did to a certain extent when we played them. Several teams have done this. Try to run the ball on us. Run the ball, run the ball, run the ball. You want to wear down the defense. You want to put our defensive coordinator in a position where he has to try to call a lot of solid plays and keep his unit up and going for extended period of the game, as we saw last night, as we've known all season. He's not capable of that. Right. So that's something that can be exploited. Great players still need great coaching, and we don't have that on the defensive end. I've been saying it all along. Even when things were going well, I was like, but still look at the calls. These are individuals making plays when they've been put in bad situations. So
exactly,
if they can continue the same thing, I think they can get a win. If we can bounce back and play like we were playing in the first 8 games, I think we could bounce back. It's just going to be a matter of who shows up ready to play. Jeff Saturday's going to have those guys ready to roll.
No, it's just better they get it out of their system now and then get back to focusing on winning.
Yep.
Like you said, everybody riding that big high. You just took this game last night for granted, thinking everybody's gunning for you, and you think everybody's going to lay down. They're not in the NFL. Somebody's going to try to take you out somehow.
Yeah, absolutely, man, absolutely. Any other thoughts on the upcoming game, Fuji?
I'd just say shut down Michael Pittman and shut Jonathan Taylor.
Yep.
Darius Slay didn't have a solid game at all last night. McLaurin was all over him. I was like, where the hell is Slay at tonight?
Absolutely, absolutely. Well,
back to your game plan that you've been the first 8 weeks.
Run the ball, absolutely. Play the way you need to play.
Yeah.
That's what every team should do to win. So,
amen.
Good luck on the game this week. Appreciate you hopping on with us.
Thank you.
And make sure you hop in the comments and just let everybody know where to find you.
All right.
All right,
have a good week. Go Birds.
Go Birds.
Have a good one.
All right, man. So, we got another one for me and you, man. We got the Jets versus the Patriots. I'm going to be real quick on this one. And I'm going to say Jets, Jets. They're playing well. Defense is playing well. Salah has them boys playing. They just got to do the same thing. Run the ball. Minimize the turnovers. Make sure that Zach Wilson just doesn't make the bad throws, right? Just take what's there. Play smart. And I think the Jets have a good chance riding their momentum to keep doing what they've been doing and getting wins.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. It's kind of like the Jets are like the coach from the water boy looking over across the way and afraid of the Patriots because they're clearly the better team. But the Patriots, man, they just have the Jets number. Don't remember the last time they beat them, but I think this will be the weekend that they do finally get that dub.
Absolutely. Yeah, man. Not too much to talk about with this Patriots situation.
Yeah.
They're just who they are.
Yeah, who's the quarterback for them?
It varies.
Yeah, I mean, so we'll see. I think they're just going to come out, give us a heavy dose of slow-paced football, controlling the clock, short passes, and I think we're going to see some highlights from the Jets, man. We're going to see some fireworks from them. I know earlier in the season I was just saying I wanted to see them actually beat somebody and actually prove, but they've been coming back every week, with a bit of consistency. So hopefully they come out and they handle their business.
Absolutely, absolutely. And then we got one other one here. We'll go ahead and give a few thoughts on, and then we should have a matchup coming up after that. Haven't had many of those tonight. So we've got the Rams versus the Saints. I'll let you give your thoughts on this one first, sir.
No, it's gonna be a bad game. No Cooper Cup, no Michael Thomas. I don't know if Jarvis Landry's coming back. I mean, Olave's killing it, Kamara's killing it. But that's all they have, over there in the Saints. And then, on the other side with the Rams, they don't have anybody. Van Jefferson, if he can catch a ball, hopefully he can catch some passes, get on track, and catch a rhythm with Matt Stafford. But I just think back to the meme I saw earlier in the season where it was like Matt Stafford looks like the Lions version of Matt Stafford. They're just not playing good football, man. It's the result of what happens when you go all in and win a Super Bowl. That way, where you just headhunt and pick up, assassins to go out there and win your Super Bowl, and then, you're left to pick up the pieces afterwards. And that's what the Rams are doing. Saints are just chugging along, man, trying to find their quarterback of the future. Their defense is, kind of keeping them there, but, man, shoot. I don't think anybody's going to win this game. It's going to be a tie.
So, here's the thing. More than likely, Cooper Kupp's not playing. That really screws me fantasy-wise. Yeah, big time. But when your number one overall pick or your top pick, your first pick, doesn't play, that hurts. But I think the Saints should have a little bit more, because if you take Cooper Kupp away from the Rams, yeah, you just think about the team without Cooper Kupp, and yeah.
There's that one guy. Who's that? That one younger receiver they got. I don't know his name.
Van Jefferson?
Not Van Jefferson. There's some other guy, man. Let me see if I can look it up. I can't think of his name, but
whoever this guy is, he'll be all right. He'll put up some stats, but he's not a Cooper Kupp. If you take Cooper Kupp away, I think the Saints should have enough weapons to win this game. Their defense is still pretty solid. They just have had a tough time scoring. If I'm looking at it as a fan, I want the Rams to win because we have the Saints' first pick. But, if you're looking at the game on paper and what I expect to see, I do have to give the Saints a slight edge. Nothing impressive, maybe 16-13. Nothing major, but I think the Saints can pull out a stinker.
Cup on IR? Is Cup on IR?
Well, he's not. He's definitely not playing this week. I don't know if he's on IR yet or not. I didn't see it early on IR.
Yeah, I don't know. Everything I'm looking at here shows they put him on IR today.
Well, if they put him on IR today, then he's definitely not playing. And like I said, without him, yeah.
Did they have a chance even with him? No.
I think when you have Kupp, you have at least a chance, right? Because one of those players like Mark Andrews that you have to pay attention to, like A.J. Brown, like several other people, if you have a marquee guy that catches the ball, whether it's a tight end, whether it's a wide receiver, it makes everything easier for everyone else. And without him, that just over complicates things for everyone else. And I think that's what we're going to see with the Rams. And that's why I do pick the Saints to win, but nothing impressive.
Yeah.
All right, guys, so we're going to actually grace y'all with at least one solid matchup tonight. We're about to have we're going to actually have two gentlemen hop on here, both who know what they're doing.
We got a Raiders rep?
No, sir. We're looking at the next game.
Oh, okay. Okay, yeah. They always here.
All right, so let's get this moving. So finally able to make his debut here with us on the Matchup Madness, we have Alex Carrick. What's going on, Alex?
Nothing much, man. I'm just kind of living life. How are you guys doing?
We're doing good, man. We're doing good. And as always, we're going to let him cue up his music here.
Ladies and gentlemen,
as
I enter into the building, the crowd goes wild. What's going on?
How's it going, man? It's the man that needs no introduction, but he has his own.
Yeah.
How's it going today, man?
We're in the house, man. We're in the house, ready to rock another week, another team. Let's talk about it.
Let's go.
I mean, for starters, let's talk about Kirk Cousins lately. Not playing the greatest games he's played, but he's leading that team. I mean, he's taking charge of that team. And we saw at the deadline, the Vikings making a big splash with T.J. Hawkinson. I don't know what the Lions are doing there, divisional trade. I mean, it works for the Vikings. They now know that they don't need to attack that in the draft. They can start looking at their future. Maybe, with this QB-heavy class coming here in the draft. I mean, I can see that. But Kirk Cousins being that leader that they need against a Cowboys team that really has underperformed this year already. I mean, it could be blamed on Mike McCarthy last week, but at the same time, Dak Prescott has not been reading the field right. I mean, 2 INTs to a practice squad player. I mean, if you're looking at it, I think the Vikings are going to edge this one out. I think it's going to be a close game. I think it's going to be, honestly, 34-31 Vikings in last-second field goal.
Okay.
First things first, if you watch the game against Green Bay, the 2 interceptions for Dak really was not his fault. I will slightly agree with you, Brother Alex, by saying that he's not seeing the field well, but you also have to keep in mind that he's really just getting back in the rhythm. He's been gone for over a month. Was his second game back. Not an excuse, but you're coming off, you just can't jump back in like that. Now, I heard you say Kirk Cousins. I heard you say T.J. Hawkinson. I wish the game would turn it to Kirk Cousins' hands because I would feel confident about that.
How many yards did Jefferson have?
Jefferson last game, 10 receptions for 196 yards.
Really not worried about Jefferson either. See, those are the wrong names. Those are the wrong names y'all calling out. The name that you should have called out, and then I would have just shut up and put my mic on mute, should have been Dalvin Cook. And the reason why you should have called out Dalvin Cook's name is simply because the Dallas Cowboy run defense can't stop a nosebleed right now. And so what you're thinking about Kirk Cousins and T.J. Hawkinson and all that, that's not what's going to beat the Cowboys. And I'm a diehard Cowboy fan. We gave up 200 yards rushing against the Green Bay Packers last week. You have Dalvin Cook. You have Mr. Madison also as well. Trust me. The Chicago Bears ran up 200 yards against us. The Philadelphia Eagles ran up 200 yards against us. Please understand, Justin Jefferson, T.J. Hawkinson, Adam Thielen, Kirk Cousins, they can take the week off this week. It's going to be a run first game, and they're going to try to run the ball down our throats. We can't stop nothing right now. That is going to be the way that y'all beat us. It's just the truth. Now, if you want to get in the Kirk Cousins game, he's going to be prone to make them 1 or 2 mistakes that he always makes. And he's going to give us the ball. It's Dalvin Cook. That's we can't stop nobody. Chicago Bears look like the world champions against us running the ball. Philadelphia ran the ball against us. Green Bay, we ain't heard nothing from AJ and Aaron Jones the whole season almost. All of a sudden, here they come. We cannot stop a nosebleed. So it's Dalvin Cook and Madison. That's who I'm worried about. I ain't worried about Jefferson. We're going to put Diggs on him. He ain't going to have no huge game. I ain't worried about him. It's just going to be Dalvin Cook. That's who I'm worried about.
I'm more worried about, with Madison, I mean, we've seen Madison's carries actually decline in the last couple of weeks. I mean, Kevin O'Connell is
It'll
looking
increase this week. I guarantee that.
Actually, I think they may go C.J. Ham here. C.J. Ham came up big in against Buffalo this week. So, I mean, if you look at C.J. Ham, you can run that fake fullback draw, and you pitch that up down.
Y'all can go pull out Adrian Peterson out the closet, bring him on back, and he'll get some of this too. So, I mean, it make no difference. We can't stop nobody running the ball.
My question is, how are you going to stop that? That they have that quadruple monster right there. I mean, yes, Kirk Cousins will probably throw another 2 INTs, but Trayvon Diggs, even last year, was prone to being hit on that deep ball many times. I mean, are you guys going to try to throw that safety over the top? But if you throw that safety over the top, what's going to happen? That's going to open up so many more options there. That's what I'm worried about, because he's always got that one big throw a game that happens.
It's not going to come down to that, my brother. I'm sorry. It's going to be one-on-one truly, because we can't stop nobody running. We're going to commit to the run. We're going to put 8 men in the box. That's going to be leave single coverage everywhere else. And Justin is just going to be locked one-on-one with Drew Diggs. He's going to win some and he's going to lose some. We got to stop the run. That's the only way. If we don't stop the run, Dalvin Cook will have 200 yards rushing against us. And I'm a Cowboy fan. I tell you the truth. So that I just don't see. I just see when the way that you're talking about, and the way everybody thought Green Bay was going to beat us, and the way that everybody's thinking that those game plans are thrown down the toilet when you see us. We can't stop the run. Now we can hit the quarterback. We can hit the quarterback. We gonna get our sacks, but we can't stop the run. So everybody's gonna tackle us running the ball right now. So Minnesota, when you got a 2-3 headed monster like that, the blueprint is already set. Run the football against the Dallas Cowboys until somebody can stop it. So far we ain't stopped it. So I don't see too much light. We can win the game. I think it will be close. But if we give up another 200 yards again, we're not going to win.
I think your special teams safe here. Most definitely, because, I mean, you look at Vikings special teams over the last couple of years, have not been great. Even this year, have not been spectacular on the kickoff returns there, allowing, I think, the 6th most yards on average for kick returns. So, I mean, Kevontae Turpin's back there, very, very dangerous return man. We saw that in the USFL. We've seen it a little bit here. He get a hand on a hold of one of these good ones. I mean, it's going to make it very interesting to see how the Vikings game plan on that special teams, especially around him.
Also, one other thing before you take over 𝐶edric. The other thing is that the reason why I also think we're in trouble is because, as I suspected, that when Dak Prescott came back, I told everybody, especially on my show, that Kellen Moore was going to have a dose of amnesia, and he was going to forget that you're supposed to run the football. Dak Prescott threw the ball 46 times in a close game last week. That is totally ridiculous. We ran the ball 6 times in the 4th quarter in overtime against Green Bay and passed 19 times. You would think we were down by 20 points. We was in the lead actually, 28-14, and you threw the ball 19 times in the 4th quarter. Why? It just does not make any sense. So if the Cowboys don't run the ball against you guys, Alex, then you really gonna have an easy day, because I believe Kellen Moore's gonna get pass happy. He's gonna get pass happy, and it's over.
Yeah, but you guys get Zeke back this week? I've seen him being very, very questionable here.
We'll have Zeke. He was ready to go Sunday, but you got to keep in mind the Cowboys were playing 3 games in 12 days. You don't want to wear him out like that. So I'm quite sure he'll be back for now and the Thanksgiving game. But and we need him. He would have helped out against Green Bay, but it really don't mean you can have Zeke back there, but what if you ain't calling no running plays? If you line up and shotgun all game long, give me a break. Throwing the ball nonstop, you got to go what brought you to the dance. We supposed to run the football, but I just can't see it. So all signs point to Minnesota winning this game at home. Is the way they were running, but the Cowboy-Vikings games over the last few years have always been close, regardless. So we just have to see.
Yeah, like I said, I'm predicting 34-31 Vikings on a 35-yard field goal. I mean, both defenses, if they play lights out, both those quarterbacks are going to make a couple mistakes, but it should be pretty good.
All right, gentlemen. Well, good luck to you both on your matchup this week. Somebody's got to win, somebody's got to lose, unless you have one of those dirty T words, which we don't say on the show. So definitely hop in the comments, guys. Let everybody know where they can find you. Appreciate having you guys on. Look forward to seeing you guys back next week.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
We'll holler at you. Oh, don't quite leave yet because.
Oh, yeah. You got it to outro. Let's go.
As I leave. The crowd leaves.
I love it.
Nice.
I love it. So, man, we got another one here we're going to talk about real quick. And then we got another matchup that we have coming up as well as another solo. But we'll hop on here when we skip to go ahead and get those guys on. And that's the Raiders versus the Broncos. You could give me a coin and I just flip it and pick a winner. To be honest with you, I know you are a fan of the Broncos, so you may have some thoughts, but I just give me a coin. I put it like this. I'll pick it this way. I'm thinking of a number 1 through 10. If you're close to it, I'll pick the Broncos. If you're far away from it, 1 through 20. If you're close to it, I'll pick the Broncos. If you're far away from it, I'll pick the Raiders. Pick a number between 1 and 20.
I'm not doing that. But, yeah, it'll be a game for sure. Broncos haven't been much to watch at all this year. Jerry Jeudy's out. I think that was pretty much our offense the past 2 games was him and Russ clicking up and opening up everything else. So, yeah, man, I mean, we'll see a game and we'll probably see a coach getting fired after a game. From either team, whoever loses, to be honest with you, they're probably going to lose their coach or a coordinator at least after this. But yeah, like you said, there's neither one of these teams are turning their season around. And I hate to say it as a Broncos fan, man, but, they've just been underwhelming. And, it goes back to maybe they should have played in the preseason. Maybe that would have got them clicking, but it's week 10, week 11, you're not talking about clicking at this point in the season if you don't have it. And neither one of these teams seem to have it. So, yeah, it'll be a game. Luckily, it's not on, like it's not a main event.
Excuse me.
But it'll be on there if we want to watch it. And like you said, it'll go either way. Whichever team gets to 17, honestly. Whichever team gets 17 first is probably going to win this game.
I think I'm going to go Raiders just because of Josh Jacobs.
Fuck the Raiders.
This is the after hours portion of the show, ladies and gentlemen. But now, I think I'm going to go Raiders because of Josh Jacobs. Neither team really has their full complement of anything, right? Wide receivers out, tight ends out, so it's crazy. But I think the running game, Josh Jacobs, to me, that's the difference maker.
And, I mean,
Tight
Devontae
game.
Adams, always, he's one of the best receivers in the league. So you always got to give him his flowers, man. He's going to get his yards for sure, especially. Maybe not, though. Hopefully they just put Surtain on him the whole game and lock him down. But
That was actually my thought process because Surtain has locked down some very quality wide receivers this year. Definitely been a bright point for you guys. Yeah.
he do that for sure. It just, it just feels like, we just had Kawan, I can't think of his name. Our other cornerback just went down, man, our slot cornerback. So it'll be interesting. Luckily, it's the Raiders. I mean, they don't have any other receivers. I think all of their other starters are down. But we got 14 people on the IR too, so it's just – this is any given Sunday.
It's the mass unit game, huh?
Yeah, this is the reserve?
Mass unit. The replacements. That's what we out here playing the replacements,
man. And man, I hope Russ is just letting all this talk get to him, and that's what's affecting him, as opposed to the fact that the Seahawks kind of saw that, you know, it was about that time because we're stuck with them, man. And, you know, like you said, we're talking playoffs right now, which is not what we talk around here. We talk Super Bowls, man. It's champions or bust, really. And it's just, we'll see, man. We'll see if Broncos lose this game. It's really not much looking up for them. You know, like I said about the Seahawks, they got 4 losses. I mean, we got to play the Chiefs too. I think we play them twice. So, you know, they're looking like this. That's at least 2. So, hopefully we can come out and at least get some confidence off this game. But I got Broncos winning by 0.5 point. I don't know.
Hey, man. It could be a tie. The dirty word, we don't say much. But I think, like I said, a slight edge to the Raiders. Wouldn't be surprised if I was wrong about that one because they're both really bad right now.
I mean, our defense is good, bro. If our defense could play offense, we'd probably be decent. But, you know, at least we got that going for us. So we do have bright spots, and I think our defense will hold them. Derek Carr has been exactly, you know, top tier this season.
That's putting it kindly.
Yeah, I was going to say I wouldn't even go as far as to say he's been in the middle of the pack this season even. You know, he's been towards the bottom. So, like you said, they got Josh Jacobs and running backs have kind of done damage to us. And it's been kind of the running backs you don't think are going to come out and do damage because, you know, we were pretty effective against, you know, King Henry last week. But then, you know, like Travis Etienne came out and put 160 on us. So it'll be anxious to see which run defense shows up if they stick with their plan. If we can stop their running game, then we're going to win this game for sure.
I feel that. Enough said. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to skip a few games and we're going to fly over to the Monday night game here.
Hey.
The 49ers. And we're going to have our guy Kyle on his bye week, has been gracious enough to hop in and talk some Cardinals with us. We haven't really talked to them a lot this year, so I wanted to get somebody in that maybe can give us a little insight on that team and also get us another matchup here. So, Steven, Kyle, how's it going this evening, gentlemen?
Good to be in the place. Honor and privilege. Cool, Cedric. Likewise. Listen, at the end of the day, to make it weird, I cover the Jags. I'm actually a Niners fan, so what better substitute to actually argue against them in this particular matchup? So let's get to it, Steve.
I'll be interested. I do want to just, throw out real quick, man. I see this Cowboys fan come on here every week. He got a little intro, so I got a little something for him.
Hey. Okay.
I just had to, flex a little bit on him real quick. So,
how's it going, fellas?
Going good, man. Looking forward to seeing what a fellow Niners fan might think are our weaknesses, what might actually hurt us this week. So it'll be an interesting conversation here.
Hey, I like what you're thinking. That's what I'm hoping to provide tonight, Steve. So, yeah, let's get into it, gentlemen. Kick us off, guys.
All right, guys. So,
you know what to do.
Yes, sir. What's the first? First off, we'll just hit them with a quick, real simple. What can the other team do to win the game? So we'll start with you, Kyle. I know you are the a 49ers fan, normally Jags, but covering the Cardinals tonight. So what can the 49ers do? And I guess you get to cheat a little bit because you have some answers to this. But what can they do to win this game against the Cardinals?
Listen, what it's going to come down to is Kyle Shanahan's ability to pencil whip Cliff Kingsbury, which I'll admit, if I'm representing the Cardinals, I'm a little concerned about. There's unrest. There's yelling on the sidelines. Hell, at this point, we aren't even sure that Kyler Murray will be on the field. Though to Colt McCoy's credit, man, listen, when he came on the field last year playing in some games and doing some things, I was like, thought he was dead. So with all that in mind, as backups go, I'm not saying he's going to be Riptide Rush filling in for Dak good, but you could find yourself in a worse situation. And listen, whenever you have J.J. Watt on the field, able to get in the quarterback's head and force him to make a mistake, listen, say what you will about Jimmy G, a.k.a. DJ Khaled, all he does is win, win, win. when you get in his head, he will make mistakes. I don't think he'll make mistakes like he did against your Broncos said. We're well past that. He's adjusted at this point. But he will throw that awkward off throw. To the Niners' credit, the most dangerous thing, the other thing they need to do is exercise their weapons. Sure, they got their talents, but they got versatile weapons. Do you know if CMC is going to run or catch the ball? Do you know if Deebo Samuel is going to run or catch the ball? All you know for a fact is George Kittle's going to do something, catch the ball, block, or run somebody over, and I believe they're getting 𝐲𝐶 back. Yeah, I know it's air quotes only a fullback, but listen, unless your name is Harbaugh or Shanahan, you don't care about fullbacks. Oh, wait, Kyle's there in San Francisco. I'm watching for 𝐲𝐶 making his return as well. If those weapons are properly utilized, the Cardinals are going to have some problems on defense.
All right, Steven, the same question for you.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, 𝐲𝐶 is actually already came back last week, so he's for sure in there. He's good to go. But when I look at Arizona, this is a team that we kind of have a weird history against. You go back 2 years ago, and we sweep them, or 3 years ago we sweep them. Then 2 years ago we split with them, and then last year was just that weird year where we actually got swept by them, including the game where they had a backup quarterback, a backup running back, and a backup wide receiver. So this is just like that team in the division that for whatever reason always seems to give us issues. And I don't know what it is, but we play some of our worst games against Arizona. So to me, that's got to be, if I'm Arizona, I'm thinking like we need to go out and we need to get momentum of this game early. And, maybe hopefully get in San Francisco's head thinking like, hey, this is a team we've struggled with, and you're hoping to kind of take advantage of that mentally. The other thing is Kyler Murray has ran for over 65 yards in every game that he's played against the 49ers. We have a very aggressive front four. They will sometimes get out of position, and it can hurt them against running quarterbacks. So they have to utilize Kyler Murray's legs if he's out there and be able to do that. Because the truth of the matter is, I don't think they're going to have much success running the football. And if you cannot run the football and your quarterback isn't getting outside the pocket and extending plays and picking up yardage, my secondary is more than good enough to cover your receivers for 3-4 seconds. If they start having to cover longer than that, then some of those injuries we've had in the secondary are going to start to show up, and you got guys like D-Hop, they're going to get open, and they're going to make us pay.
Fair enough, fair enough. So, flipping that around a little bit, what unit, or actually let's do it a little bit more precise than that, what matchup do you think will determine if the 49ers win this game, Steven?
So for me, what it ultimately comes down to is two things for San Francisco, right? Number one is they have to run the football. If this offense does not establish the run, nothing else in this offense really works. You cannot ask Jimmy Garoppolo to drop back 30, 40 times a game, throw the football, when people know he's going to drop back and throw the football. You need that element of surprise. The second thing is, and I think this is really where CMC helps this team more than anything else, is you got to get Jimmy to not feel pressure and make mistakes. And he's done a good job the last 2 weeks of checking down, hitting CMC out in the flat or on the check down route versus trying to force the ball into coverage, because that's the Jimmy G special. So if they can, continue to help him not get pressured on the offensive line, or at least when they do, make sure he has the outlet passes to go to me, that's going to be the biggest difference maker. George Kittle, Deebo, Ayuk, those guys are going to do what they got to do. And Arizona, the biggest thing for them is they got to make sure they tackle those guys, because if you don't, it's going to be a problem. I mean, we saw it against the Chargers last week. 49ers offense was stagnant. As soon as George Kittle and Deebo got that ball in their hand, went out and started hitting people, whole team came to life.
Kyle, what about the Cardinals? What can they do? What's their matchup that they need to win in order to win this game?
And listen, Steve made a lot of great points, but for my money, it comes down to whoever versus D-Hop. Listen, at the end of the game, in my mind, the Cardinals are passing the ball to set up the run. I'm not saying anything to take away from James Conner. You hand him the ball, something to mix it up a bit. But what's the run game that's truly scary? You mentioned it earlier, Steve. Kyler Murray getting off the Xbox and running down the field. It's the very same thing that blows things up and makes things confusing for a lot of quarterbacks in this league, right? You know, how many times has Kyler Murray been compared to Russell Carrington Wilson when things were going well in Seattle, right? But all of that is with the offense. In my mind, they're going to come out, I think, throwing the football to try to get the Niners to sit back. And listen, that defensive front is the more dangerous of the grouping, but Steve pointed out earlier, the health of the DBs is what I want to attack and challenge. I want to put D-Hop in different parts of the field and then set up openings for other receivers. Because listen, overall, the Cardinals have a strong core, as they did last year. Might be a little bit weaker compared to last year's core, sure, but I feel like Kyler Murray's ability to pass the ball is going to decide this game. They need a balanced attack, and then improvisation by Kyler Murray is going to be what makes it really kind of the deciding factor there. And listen, to Steve's point, mistakes are going to dictate this game, whether they be made by Jimmy G or Kyler Murray. Neither quarterback can afford to be throwing the ball 40 times plus this game. And the defense that holds the guys down, the offense that starts to pull the way will definitely have the advantage if there is a team, either team that wears red here in this game, see what I did there, that has more than two scores is up by more than two scores or at two scores at halftime, they certainly have the path to victory at this point. The key is who can pull away first.
Yeah, I think something you just hit on there that's actually a really good point too is San Francisco does something defensively that most teams don't do. We don't move around our best corner. We're going to leave our guys right in place, and if you start moving guys around, we're not going to try to, cover them up. I mean, we see that every time we play the Rams with Cooper Kupp, they move him all over the field, and we just, whoever covers him, covers him. So, D-Hop, I think Javarius Ward might be interesting matchup to see. I think he might be able to actually cover him. Some of our other DBs, I'm not quite as confident in, so it'd be an interesting matchup.
So, another question for you guys. Who is going to be, this could be a player, this could be a coach, who is going to be a significant piece that you are concerned with from the opposite team for this game?
I mean, from the 49ers standpoint of view, it is 100% Kyler Murray, and worried about him getting outside of the pocket and killing us with his legs. Because if he starts getting outside the pocket, that's going to force us more into zone coverages, and you cannot play a whole lot of zone against a guy like D-Hop. He'll eat you alive.
No, that's a great answer, Steve. I would come back very similar, and I kind of led with this concept, but I'm going to lean into it here. Listen, if I'm the Cardinals, the chess match, Kingsbury versus Shanahan is where I'm going to get the most worried, right? Again, the versatility. It's not so much that they got Pro Bowl level guys doing this, gentlemen. It's they got Pro Bowl level guys that can do so many different things. And sure, Ayuk's a pure receiver, and he'll stretch things and be a commensurate player and part of it. I'm taking nothing from him. But CMC and Deebo Samuel being a big deal, if you're surprised by that by now, you haven't been watching this dang team. Listen, there's so much that Shanahan can do, running the football, passing the football in so many different exotic ways, and this defense can study all they like, but they're going to have to be able to react well. And that, I'll tell you, you could think you have the Niners hanging from the gallows, and all of a sudden they get a great play for to move the chains or get a score that keeps something alive for them. Yeah, again, so long as the game is close, the Niners have a shot, and the Cardinals need to be worried.
Yeah, I will say to your point about the coaching, one thing that Kyle does well is he will keep experimenting with different things if something's not working. And as soon as he finds something that is working, he's going to exploit it until you show that you can stop it.
As he should.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Fair enough. So, guys, good luck on your matchup. Obviously, one team's gonna win, one team's gonna lose. I know who really both of you want to win, right? But we have a couple more matchups to go over. So, since you guys are both on here, if you want to give us a little insight, we'd be happy to ride you guys on out through these last two matchups. Or if you want to hop off and ride out, you can do it that way either. It's up to you guys' decision.
No, I'll stay aboard. You know I'm all about entertaining.
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, I knew what the answer was going to be, right? Just want to make it seem like it was your guys' decision. Come on now.
Well, thank you so much for asking, man. I really appreciate that. Yeah, I'd be honored to stay. Yeah.
The power of football compels me.
So, guys, the first one will be the Bengals and the Steelers. So, we'll make it simple. Either team you think's going to win, and why?
I mean, I don't know about you, Steve, but to me, I see Joey Burr being a little angry about how the season opened when he was recovering from his appendectomy, and the Steelers escaping with a win to open that season after that overtime game with Minkah Fitzpatrick just absolutely being a one-man show in the later part of that game. And while Minkah, I believe he will be out for that game, they do have TJ Watt back. That's a big deal. And I believe Ja'Marr Chase is still going to be questionable at the very least, if not outright out for that game. But even still, I got Joey Burr. He's going to come into that game kind of ticked off. I believe the Bengals are going to answer him on that one in a division that thrives on rivalry like the AFC North. I don't know what you think, man.
Yeah, I mean, I think getting TJ Watt back is absolutely huge. He's the heart and soul of that defense, and it's definitely going to help. And even without Fitzpatrick, last week, they still look pretty good. But they weren't covering these Bengals receivers last week. And even without Chase out there, they still have a lot of talent, and they got a quarterback with a big arm that's not afraid to let that thing go. So to me, I think coming off the bye week, I think they've kind of figured out what are some adjustments we can make without Ja'Marr Chase out there. I've got the Bengals edging this one out. I do think it will be a lot closer than maybe some people expect, though. But I'm actually picking the Bengals.
I'm expecting it close, too, not for nothing. And Mixon, listen, let's not forget, he put on a show on the ground last week as well. I mean, some fantasy players were either very happy or very ticked off.
Yeah.
All right. Say any questions for these gentlemen?
Oh man, no, I think they covered it pretty well. I think it's going to be a pretty exciting game, as the AFC North division rivalries usually go. But yeah, I agree with you guys. I think the Bengals are going to come out and pull this one out. They've shown that they can win without Ja'Marr Chase. He's great, but he's not their team. So yeah.
Fair enough. And then we'll go ahead and just finish up this last matchup. But before we do that, a couple of comments. So Sean Monahan says division matchup: Steelers having Watt back, confidence bad, Pickett rushing for touchdowns, and Bengals coming off a bye, good or bad. Either one of you want to answer that question regarding the Bengals coming off a bye?
That's only a good thing regarding their health, right, Steve? That's what I would have to think.
Yeah, and I think the fact that you had to make some adjustments to not having Ja'Marr Chase out there, having that week off to kind of give you more time to game plan for that, it's going to be a big benefit for them.
Yeah.
Fair enough. And then we'll hop to the last matchup here for the week. And that's going to be... Oh, sorry, guys. I'm stalling for a second here.
Couldn't tell it all, man. Couldn't tell it all.
So glad. It's going to be
the Chiefs.
The Chiefs versus the Chargers.
Ooh. Listen, after you guys had me, after my assignment was to talk about the Jags battling the Chiefs last week, I only, of course, have good things to say, especially since they still found a way to win, even though the Jags defense found a way to get 3 turnovers out of them. But at the end of the day, we keep talking about injuries, Steve. I don't know what it is in the NFL, but it is a plague like no other that I can remember for certain teams, and the Chargers are among them, man. And listen, credit to Justin Herbert playing through fractured cartilage or whatever it was. And I think he first got injured, ironically enough, that Thursday night game where he first faced the Chiefs. This is another wonky divisional game, and I think the Chargers will do enough to keep it close, but the injuries are going to mount. Patrick Mahomes II is going to handle business. I'd hate to oversimplify it, but if you have something different, Steve, you let me know.
I mean, listen, we saw towards the end of that game, especially once the fourth quarter rolled around, that the injuries and the lack of depth really hurt the Chargers in the 49ers game. I mean, they wore down. And you're going to go out there and ask them to basically compete in a 60-minute track meet with the Kansas City Chiefs. That is a lot to put onto that defense that I think they're literally down to 3 defensive linemen right now. I don't know if they're getting any of those guys back this week, but they are literally down to like 3 defensive linemen. So it is a lot to put on them. And as you pointed out, Patrick Mahomes, man, there's something about this dude. I mean, he goes out there, has 3-4 turnovers, and still finds ways to win football games, right? It's just not something that we see out of other teams. And the thing is, the Chiefs know it. They know they have that room for error. Their defense knows they have that room for error. I do think that, the Chargers will put up a good fight early in this game, especially if they're able to get Mike Williams or Keenan Allen back, or both. That would be super helpful. Because I'll tell you, man, Herbert is healthy. He's back to being healthy. He threw some absolute dimes the other night.
Dimes with fractured cartilage too. Let's give the man a little credit.
Yeah, but he looked healthy. So I think that they can keep it close. But I think ultimately they're going to wear down. They're just not going to be able to keep up with this Chiefs team for 4 quarters. I have it pretty close going into halftime, and then probably like halfway through the third quarter, I think Kansas City just pulls away.
No, it's solid. I dig that too.
Just have one other question for you guys. Do you think Gus Edwards is the second most important player on the Baltimore Ravens?
I mean, he's up there, right?
I got an answer for you.
I mean, for me, just a quick thought. I just have to get this out there. Kenya Drake has ran very well, without Gus Edwards. J.K. Dobbins has ran very well when he was there and Gus Edwards wasn't there. I think, like a lot of teams now, running back by committee, you got to remember, is an important thing. We don't normally do tight end by committee when that's your best receiver. Just saying. This last point.
Nothing is incorrect. Cool. Just for the record.
I was a little bit in shock, but when he said Gus Edwards, I was not prepared for that. I was like, you know what, man?
He's not even the second most important person on the offense, let alone the whole team.
He's not the second most important person in the backfield, in my opinion. But yeah, that's a different argument. But I'll just say, man, to wrap things up, I appreciate everybody that hops in, everybody that checks out the replay. In closing, we're 8-1 now. I'm an Eagles fan. Donut's gone. There's an L there. So everybody can go back to saying that, we don't deserve to be 8-1 and all the hatred and all the things that fuel us and help us be better. So thank you, universe, for allowing this to happen so that we can get back to being the team that nobody respects, no matter how many wins we have, because now we have a loss. I think we'll come out better and play better because of it. Fly, Eagles, fly. I'm excited for the rest of the season. Regular season is just for seeding. The game really starts when you hit the playoffs, and I expect to be there.
There you go. Hey, let me add this, Cool. The only way that game was truly significant was in the champagne industry because they had to give something over the 72 guys to pop. That's it, man.
All right, so Sid, any final thoughts from you, sir?
Oh, man. Thank you guys for coming on, joining us for the last few games. Always fun to be on with you guys. Thank you, everyone else that came on tonight, and to you guys that watch. Definitely appreciate you. Don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button. Stay on top of it. Yeah, man, it's great. Have a good night, I guess.
Kyle, any final words, sir?
Hey, honor, joy, and privilege. Glad to be aboard. Thank you for the unique experience to battle in the Matrix against the 49ers. Thank you to Steve for bringing it well. Thank you to Cedric for handling the Broncos, so I didn't have to tonight. And listen, honor, joy, and privilege, gentlemen. But until the next one, class dismissed.
And last, but of course not least, my co-host on Friday nights for the Play Call Sports Talk Show, Stephen Box. Any final words?
Hey, I just want to say, appreciate Kyle for giving me my first actual matchup against another person. I've been talking to myself for 10 weeks now, so appreciate getting to talk to somebody else for once. And hey man, half game out of first place, coming for that number one spot. That's why I better let Seattle know what's good.
So being said, just haven't been here these other 10 weeks, I guess. But you know what? We're going to end on that. Have a great night, everyone. See you back next week. And apparently, Steven doesn't look above, or those people don't matter.
Broncos getting the dub.
You're John C.